me with all my stuff on, people always say that, like, Jacques, how much you disguise yourself? We're gonna know who you are. And I was talking to him, and I had some things to say to him that I didn't anticipate saying. And I told him it's funny that sometimes people think life is about getting from point A to point B. It's all the stuff in between. Exactly. And then immediately after I said that to him, I almost became mindfully aware that, okay, this is not about me getting from Harvard to home. I'm gonna practice what I preach and just keep my eyes open. And then I run into this table right here. That's because I was keeping myself open.
I'll show you something that relates to that in the Bhagavad Gita. See, in the practice of yoga, you mentioned being mindful, right?
Yeah, like mindfulness.
Yeah.
Being present in the moment.
Exactly. And part of the yoga process is actually to become completely mindful that one has to actually see the self within, and the mind becomes a distraction. So for him who's conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. Wow. For one who has conquered the mind, the super soul is already reached. That means you can hear from within. For he has attained tranquility. To such a man, happiness and stress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. This is true happiness. It comes from within ourself. It's already there, but now, because we have so many external distractions, we're looking outside ourselves, thinking one thing. It's like a mirage, you know, in the desert.
Yeah.
You think you see water, it's not actually there. So you're running for it. So animals, sometimes they run in the desert until they drop dead, thinking they're going to get water, right?
Yeah.
But it's not there. But real water is somewhere, because there's an illusion of it. Like you can't have counterfeit money without real money, right?
Yeah.
So real money is there, real happiness is there also. But attaining it, that's a different story, and that's the process that's taught in Bhagavad Gita. It's called bhakti. Bhakti means the yoga of gratitude and love. Like, have you ever noticed when you have gratitude, you're happy? And if you don't have gratitude, doesn't matter how many material things you have, you'll still be miserable. You can have $1 billion and you still feel unhappy.
Yeah, it's like the poverty of the rich.
Exactly.
That's one of the things I want to write about.
We're talking the same language, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, because I definitely am finally open to all these things. Because people think reality is about surviving everyday life, going to work, and people that you come across may not like, and and petty little things that you think are construct your life, but it's not. There's so much more.
I like what you said earlier. You said it's the things that happen in between.
Yeah.
When you're going from point A to point B,
people don't pay attention to those things.
Right, exactly.
You want to get from point A to point B yesterday.
Right.
I've had people walking behind me. I could almost feel their breath in my neck. I've had to stop and let them pass. It's almost like they're in a rush. I said, what are you doing? Rushing to your grave? Why get there sooner when you can enjoy the journey?
I feel the same way.
And there's a pressing issue of time in, I don't know, it's in America. When I was in Haiti, everything was so much slower. And we got just as much done.
Right.
But people enjoyed themselves, they smiled, they sat on the front porch and they greeted one another, they visited. There's a sense of isolation here in America. People are always, there's more mental illness. I've seen more mental illness here than I saw in Haiti. People are complaining of feeling isolated and lonely. They can't meet anyone. Look at this.
I was studying in
What is going on?
Exactly.
And people have said to me, I feel lonely in a room full of 50 people.
But,
and I've felt like that too, in a room full of 50 people. And for some reason, I'm not connecting. And I feel like I have to put this face on just to act and enjoy myself, because people are not willing to let down their guard for you to connect with their true self. There's so much facade and pretense, and I got this, I got here, I got this go there, I make this much money, and all that stuff is just trivial to me. So I kind of block it.
You're so right. Everyone's starving for a relationship.
But they don't want to let their guard down. They don't want to open their hearts for it to happen. They just complain about the fact that they're not connecting. But they don't understand that they're contributing to the fact that they're not connecting. If you're not open, how are you going to connect?
It's true. Well, it seems that people need help. because spiritual knowledge is lacking nowadays. There's lots of knowledge of technology, more and more, but that doesn't actually breed any happiness. So that's what our job is, to distribute this spiritual knowledge that tells how to open the heart and to develop these kinds of loving relationships. It's what's needed in the world today. So that's why we do this. We have stations like this all over the city. I just came from California.
I've never seen you guys here before. Have you guys been here for years?
Different locations.
Like in Boston for years?
Yeah, for many years.
Is this your first time in Harvard Square?
Well, this is my first time in Harvard Square. I'm from California.
Oh, you have
arrived yesterday.
You guys have different other groups that may have been here
I come
before.
from Silicon Valley, California. You know, where they make all the computer chips and stuff.
Oh, I thought you meant like it was like a city of West influence.
No.
Silicon Valley?
That's Silicon.
Oh, okay. I thought you come from the city of West influence.
They probably do that too, you know?
Oh, as California and Silicon Valley, I said, oh, I can see the connection. You know, I mean, talking that Baywatch girl. But wow. So what is? I grew up in a Catholic school in Haiti, and I had brothers as my teachers. What's the difference between monks and brothers?
What's the name?
No difference. Just people, people who are dedicated. It's just a matter of you need some people in society who are spending full time studying, scripture and distributing it to others. That's the main thing. And in every society, there has to be some people doing that. Otherwise, the society dries up. So this is spiritual knowledge.
Yes.
So that's what we do.
So that's
we
what
like literature because, see, some religions they tell you what to do. These books point out it's your duty to find out for yourself.
How do they do that? They don't tell you have to become this religion.
You're an intelligent human being. You know, you have the capacity to look
figure
inside.
it out.
Yeah, it's your prerogative to actually look inside yourself, and this is what these books point out. That now you're in this life. It's your job. You know, your main job not to make money. Even birds can eat without having insurance.
I know. How do they survive? You know, and they make it.
They make it. Even Jesus said that. You know, the birds of the sea, how they live. You know, God's feeding everyone, so we don't have to work so hard. It's not required. But what is required is to make some inquiry, and that's what these are: self-discovery. You see, because no one can do it for you. Just like eating food. When you're hungry, you eat for yourself, right?
Yes.
You don't eat for someone else. And when you eat, you feel satisfaction, you feel nourishment, you feel your hunger goes away, and you feel strength.
Yes.
So the same thing with this. You do it for yourself, and you can feel it. That's the point. Like I read you one quote. Do you know who Henry David Thoreau is?
Yes.
Of course you do. You're a writer. In the morning I bathe my intellect in the stupendous and cosmological philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, in comparison with which our modern world and its literature seem puny and trivial. And Emerson, I owe a magnificent day to Bhagavad Gita. It was the first of books. It was as if an empire spoke to us, nothing small or unworthy, but large, serene, consistent, the voice of an old intelligence, which in another age and climate had pondered and thus disposed of the same questions which exercise us. And finally Gandhi said, when doubts haunt me, when disappointments stare me in the face, and when I see not one ray of hope on the horizon, I turn to Bhagavad Gita and find a verse to comfort me, and immediately begin to smile in the midst of overwhelming sorrow. Those who meditate on the Gita will derive fresh joy and new meaning from it every day.
As you know, even the church, we know.
So I'd like to make a donation. Can I have those two?
Yes, you may.
For your body.
I think that's a good way to start with those
I
two.
do. I think they're excellent ones too. Let me hold your bike for you.
Things like
You're smart. You get around by bike, stay healthy.
Exactly. My whole family is here. Some still in Haiti. My father used to practice yoga before it was popular back in Haiti.
I knew it. You come from a family.
Yes, I get
writer.
Yeah, no wonder. I said I have my father's. I never even thought about that. Yeah, he's been practicing yoga since the 60s.
You know, this Bhagavad Gita points out, if that's the case, I mean, you're already doing this.
Because that's it. No wonder it's coming so natural to me. Yeah.
Life's eternal.
that means there are four major problems. One,
by virtue of the divine consciousness of the previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles, even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. See, it's natural, because, you know, from previous birth, from previous life, if you're practicing, you take up where you left off from the last life. and you start over again.
Because my father passed away in 2005, and I started becoming more spiritually in tune around 2004. So a year before he passed away.
Did it make a powerful impact when he passed away too? You're becoming more spiritually inclined after he left?
I didn't think about that consciously, but I became more embedded in spirituality, and that's when I started writing my own book, which I wrote last year, and that was like the most. I didn't even know I had it in me. It just so like it happened that way.
The way you are listening,
And it was well received by people in the newspapers, even the Globe fishing.
as I read,
That's my own thought.
those going on are more open. They listen to others.
There's so much.
Writing a book.
Yeah, you know.
That's
I
no
see some
small
people
task.
talk about
A
doing
lot
it.
of people talk about writing a book or start writing
And
a
the
book.
thing is,
Not
I
many
didn't
people
intend
actually
to do it. What I did was I published a little pamphlet at Kinko's.
Yeah.
And then it was so well received. And I met a publisher, and she said she could turn that pamphlet into a book. It was meant to be a 40-page pamphlet, and it turned into a 194-page book.
Wow. Amazing.
You know, and I never anticipated writing it. It wrote itself. And every poem in there, I never consciously thought about, okay, I'm going to write this poem.
Yeah.
Every single thing in there wrote itself.
Amazing.
You know, and I have a 12-page memoir at the beginning of it that talks about my journey. I grew up in Haiti with an alcoholic stepfather who terrorized me and my mom, and it's almost like therapy for me.